Right. This evening, I'm here to give a little talk on medical missionary, and this evening we would want to touch a little bit on the coronavirus and give to you a tonic that can build your immune system. So we begin with a word of prayer. Father who art in heaven, we thank you for your kindness and mercy towards us. We thank you for your blessings today so far. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for our Savior Jesus Christ, who has done everything for us. All he asks is that we accept him, accept his righteousness, and we become his children. Father, we ask that now as we go on to the evening session, that you'll be with us even as we look at health, that you'll be with us. Your Spirit will be here to teach us, and grant us that we would obey your laws of health. Dear Heavenly Father, because you have given them to us, that we may be able to escape many of the diseases and troubles that shall come upon the earth. We thank you for hearing us in Jesus' name. Amen. I can't find my spot. I had it marked and everything dropped. Anyway. All right. The last time I was here, I would have I would have given you a quotation first about disease. And I want to go back there for a minute. Okay. Right. Disease. Just a few quotations from the Spirit of Prophecy. Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. So from that, we see that disease comes about from violation of the laws of health, whether it is our own practices or somebody else's. We know that disease, if we break any of those 8 laws of health, we put our bodies in a position whereby we can be affected by some kind of disease, whether it be an infectious disease or one of the non-communicable diseases. Whenever a law of health is violated, this is what happens. It doesn't happen in a day, but as we continue to violate these laws of health, we can get sick. And God has given us the health message so that we can practice it and keep our bodies in health and prevent ourselves from getting sick. There are some diseases that are spread, infectious ones, from things like unsanitary conditions. We look through the ages, we see the different pandemics, things like the bubonic plague, we would have heard about that, or the Black Death. This was caused by unhealthy conditions where rats carried the particular bacteria, and there were fleas that sucked the blood of these rats and then bit human beings, and many died during that time. They said that in Eurasia, between 75 to 200 million human beings died from the plague. That happened back in the 14th century, and then they had other outbreaks from time to time, and that was due to unsanitary conditions. And therefore, we would see too that in Israel, you will notice that God had given Israel laws of health so as to prevent these kind of diseases also. We had, in the Bible, we taught their laws of health for how we prevent people from getting leprosy. If you read it in Leviticus, you can read that. And God told the Israelites about when they have to go to the bathroom at that time, outside toilet and so on. They were to walk with something to dig and so on to cover up all the waste and so on. So God gave to the Israelites instructions in terms of the laws of health to their bodies as well as for hygienic purposes. And these laws observe keep us in health, our surroundings, and even ourselves and families and so on. We know that disease, the symptoms of disease, the symptoms that we get from any disease is just the body's way of trying to recover itself. For instance, if we suppose our blood pressure dropped, what happens? We faint. The fainting is just the body's way of trying to get blood to the brain so as to keep us alive, okay? So therefore, the same thing, like a fever, if you get an infection, you get a fever, all right? The body's way of trying to get as much blood to that area and so on, so that the white cells can fight, and therefore the body temperature, the metabolism and everything goes up. We get a fever. So therefore, the symptoms of a disease is just the body's way of trying to recover itself. And very often we know that doctors will use things like drugs. Drugs might help the symptoms for a time, but very often these same drugs cause other problems in different areas. So in treating of diseases, it is recommended by the Spirit of Prophecy that the cause should be ascertained, and then nature be aided in its effort using natural remedies to overcome the particular disease. Okay? So natural remedies should be used rather than drugs. Sometimes, yes, we need to use them in the acute situation, but the nature's way is the better way for cure, okay? Now, I'll just go on to talk about the coronavirus a little bit, because I don't have a lot of time, so we can just do it briefly. Now, we know, I guess we've been hearing things from time to time, each and every one of us. The coronaviruses, they are a group of viruses, a large family of viruses that cause illness ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases, such as MERS. I don't know if you would have heard about MERS, COVID. MERS meaning Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. Then remember back in 2003, we would have had SARS, Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, All these are caused by the coronaviruses. And now we have the novel coronavirus, which is a new strain that has not been previously identified in humans. And this is the one that is causing all the problems now in the world. We know that it started in China, Wuhan, in China, and it has spread to several countries throughout the world. And I think the World Health Organization had decided now that is pandemic, not endemic for any one country, but pandemic meaning is affecting quite a bit of the world. And therefore, because of global travel and so on, we know that, every country would be on the alert in terms of this virus. We know that this virus is transmitted now from humans to humans, okay? Now, these coronaviruses are zoonotic, meaning that they are can be transmitted from animals to people. For instance, SARS, back in 2003, was transmitted from the civet cat to humans. We know it in China there, and that happened in China, and we know that in places like China, other Eastern countries, they eat a lot of things that we down here would never think of eating. And there's where you can get, you had that, the SARS virus being transmitted to the humans. Then there is the MERS, which I would have spoken about in the Middle East, respiratory syndrome, coronavirus, and this was transmitted from dromedary camels to humans, okay? And with these coronaviruses, there are several that are circulating in animals, several different strains circulating in animals that have not yet infected human beings. This virus can be found in even in the dog, cats, wild animals, and therefore, this new one can now be transmitted between humans and humans. So it has jumped from animal to human, and now it goes from human to human. The incubation period is between 3 to 7 days, and with this, during that period, the person can be also infectious, even though they might not show any signs and symptoms of the disease. So a person could be traveling with somebody who has it, and taking the history, they might say, nobody was coughing or sneezing or whatever, but yet they might contract it and don't even know. And that's what makes it kind of serious. The signs and symptoms, most people would know. Respiratory symptoms like fever, cough, shortness of breath, and breathing difficulties. In more severe cases, there's pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, get kidney failure, and death. And we know that people have died already, quite a few in China, with this new coronavirus. Prevention and spread. Prevention of spread. Now, with any infectious disease, observing the hygienic laws is important. Simple things like hand washing. Hand washing before you eat, hand washing after doing anything that could contaminate your hands, hand washing is very important and integral. Now, also, if we are coughing or sneezing or anything, we wouldn't want to do it in anybody's face. So we use tissue. If you don't have a tissue, you cough in the bend in your hand, okay? And even if you use tissues, you discard them in a bin, all right? Now, with this virus, it can live outside the body for a while. And therefore, even if you cough and it goes on a counter, chair, whatever, and you have it, anybody coming directly after you or a few hours after you, they can still contract the disease. So things like wiping down, cleaning with Lysol. Lysol is a good agent to clean with. Cleaning down counters and so on is important. Cleaning your doorknobs and so on is important. Or even if you use the bathroom and you have to open the doors, it's better to open with a tissue, right? Because so many people will be touching up that door. If you go somewhere in public and you have to use it, so many people will be touching the doors and so on. So therefore, we must be mindful of these things and sanitize and walk with things so that if you don't have soap and water to wash your hand, you can still use an alcohol-based sanitizer for cleaning your hands, all right? Also, we need to, with these kind of viruses, it is good to avoid, wherever possible, crowded areas, okay? It is good to avoid crowded areas. We know now that there are some people on cruises. I think there's a cruise liner in Tokyo that is under quarantine. Quite a few people on that ship has the virus, and they are under quarantine. And so we avoid coming in contact with so many persons who we might not know even have it. So keep away from crowded areas. Seeing that these viruses too, I guess it might not apply to us as much as people in the China and Asia region who eat anything. Even when our cooking, those who might still eat meat, we got to make sure that all the food, that kind of food, is cooked properly. And even us who are using vegetables and so on, seeing that the virus can be found in different animals and so on. I was reading somewhere where this person said that they bought some vegetables, and in the package was a little toad. So we even have to be careful along those lines, make sure that we wash our vegetables, our foods properly, so as to prevent any spread, any contact with any infectious agents that can cause us problems, all right? Let's see. And when we are handling our animals, I know that some people love their animals. They love them so much. They like to, play with the animal, touch them up, and so on. That is all right. But make sure you wash your hands after handling animals, because this virus, the coronaviruses, are found in animals, okay? And things like touching up your face, your eyes, your nose, and so on, avoid that practice, because if you are in contact with that virus, your hands, and you are not careful, and you touch up your nose, your eyes, mouth, it is possible that you can pass it on that way. So we must be careful in these things. At present, there's no cure in terms of vaccine for the virus. So really and truly, those who overcome must overcome by fighting the immune system, fighting the disease, and overcoming until they can get a vaccine for it, if they can get it. But even today, I was sent this video that speaks to the problem that, well, they were saying that this coronavirus, even though if you get it once, you can still get it again, which means that the strain would have to change if you catch it again, because when we catch diseases and our bodies fight them off, we usually develop antibodies which prevent you from getting that strain. And the person was saying that catching it again, this is what was said in the video, that it would be even worse than before. So with this virus, we have to be very careful. As far as I know, it's not in Barbados, and we are still, by God's mercy, free of it. But with the global traveling and so on, we don't know. So we need to understand how to prevent ourselves from getting the disease and how to prevent it from spreading to others. All right? And this is very, very important. Now, at our medical missionary training, we were given a tonic that we can use to boost our immune system. I would like to share it with you so that you can make it up and that you can use it on a daily basis so as to boost your immune system against these viruses, okay? Now, good. You should soon receive a paper with the tonic. It is called the penicillin tonic. And this tonic really is customized for respiratory problems. So therefore, it is good to use. Pardon? Yeah. 3 times a day, actually. Pardon? Wait, I will go through it. This treatment is treatment that you will use for a lot of people. So therefore, you would have to break it down, like for family, okay? Now, 14 cups of water. when we did it for a large group of people, all right? So that everybody could get a understanding of the taste and so on, all right? So that 40 cups of water, you wouldn't use that for one person or one family. You don't need so much. You can break this down to, say, into say like 3 cups of water. You can into a quarter. You can break this down into a quarter for a family, all right? I would have done it, and I would have half the recipe, all right, for my family, but it was a lot. So therefore, for one family, you wouldn't need so much, because you can only drink it over a period of time, and then you can make more, all right? So therefore, you can break this down. Say, if you're doing it for your family, say you can use about 2.5 cups of water, rather than even 3, 2.5 cups of water. And then they have 10 bulbs of garlic blended. The bulbs is the whole garlic, not the cloves, the little figs of the garlic, the whole bulb of garlic. With all the figs, that is called a bulb, okay? And if you are using it for a family or for yourself, you can use something like, say, one bulb, all right? So therefore, you can break this down to suit your family, yourself, if it's only your one person using it. And then there's a cup of ginger blended. You wouldn't need a whole cup, all right? You can use, say, 1/8 of a cup of ginger. You can use 8 tablespoons of turmeric powder if you're using this recipe, but for one person, you can probably use a tablespoon, or say about 2 figs of fresh turmeric. Then the vitamin C is 6 tablespoons. Powdered vitamin C is kind of expensive though, so therefore you probably can use the vitamin C that we buy in the little packages and use that. Then you use cayenne pepper. It says 2 tablespoons here for this big recipe, but for you, you can probably use a teaspoon. Then you use blackstrap molasses instead of a cup. You probably can use 1/8 of a cup if you're doing it for family. Okay? Then you use the vegetable glycerine. They say a cup here too. Probably can use 1/8 of a cup of that. Then there are 2 cups of onions. You break that down, and you can use probably 1/4 cup of onions if it is you, your family. Say 11 lemons. We wouldn't use so much. We would use, say, approximately, say, 2 lemons. All right? So you can break down the recipe, but I'm just giving you the ingredients so that you can make it and use it to help boost your immune system. And as I said, it's customized for the respiratory system. So you add the peppermint, camphor, eucalyptus, menthol crystals. Again, you would use less if it is only your family or only you yourself using it, okay? But I'm giving you the ingredients so that you can do it and use it. You use it 3 times a day, and you use about 1 tablespoonful 3 times a day, and that will boost your immune system, okay? Any questions? Oh, you mean, well, if you want, if you're just doing it this way, say you can use this for about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks, it should be okay to use. So that's why you don't make too much one time. All right? If you wanted it to last longer, then you can add alcohol. When I say alcohol, I mean an alcohol beverage to it, but you will have to heat it up to get rid of the alcohol, and that will preserve it, make the shelf life a lot longer. All right? But seeing that we did not do it that way, I don't think I would advise that you do it that way. But instead, just use it naturally and use it that can last for at least 2 weeks at a time. All right? You store it in the fridge, in the glass. Yeah. And use it, 3 times a day. It helps. We were in the class, Mr. Wilson would have spoken much about garlic. Garlic is a very, very powerful herb. He said that it is the only herb that fights against all of the different infections that we have. Say that garlic is antibacterial, antiviral, antiprotozoan, anti-parasitic, that it fights against everything. And the active ingredient in it that fights is called allicin. I believe you would have heard Dr. Douglas speak about that, allicin. That is the active ingredients that is very, very powerful in garlic that helps protect against all of those things that I mentioned: bacteria, viruses, parasites, protozoan, and so on. So, any other questions? No, I'll finish here. Pardon? Well, camphor is one of those ingredients that, well, usually you use it for the respiratory system. My knowledge on it is not very great, but I know you use it in terms of respiratory system and so on. But I will go to research that. Pardon? No, you can use it internally too. But the amount of camphor you're using is minimal. Because with this big recipe, you're only using half a teaspoon of camphor. So if you're going to be using it for yourself, you can only use a few drops for yourself. So therefore, it wouldn't do you any injury. Eucalyptus oil is very, very good for the respiratory system as well. So this is where he has customized this for the respiratory system. And you know that you would reduce the amounts if you're just using the tonic for yourself. Okay? Yeah. Any other questions? You done? Pardon? Who? Yeah, Tanya.
Looking at this list of ingredients,
Pardon?
Did they give any, how to put it, restrictions on who this can and can't be given to? And then I'm seeing menthol crystals and camphor. Are these things that can be ingested?
Yes. As I told you, I made the tonic myself. And I used some myself.
But
and I'm still
should they
using
be
it.
ingested?
Yes.
Menthol crystals?
But the amount that you're using is so minuscule, it can't do anything. Listen, Vicks, I can remember as children,
Y'all used to eat Vicks?
I used to eat Vicks, yeah. And it never killed me. I still here.
Okay.
So you
All
can
right.
use these yeah.
But from what I am seeing,
Uh-huh.
I would just caution those who have stomach issues, the amount of garlic that is contained in this.
Yeah, but that's doing a large amount.
People who have stomach issues, who are prone to ulcers and stuff like that, don't use these things. If you have allergies, don't use this. There are a lot of ingredients in here that are good, but there are also a lot of ingredients in here that are in extremely high dosages, and like the camphor and menthol crystals, I am not so sure about those ingredients being added to this. I also know that there's another one. You can make this here minus a lot of these things. Audrey makes one similar, and it does not contain these additional things. And I would caution people that it could be very damaging to your GI tract if you use these things, especially on a hungry stomach. And if you use these things and you have any underlying conditions.
But
Thank you.
as I said, what you have there is for making a lot of the tonic, and therefore, if it is for you yourself or your family, you will reduce the amount. You adjust it to suit, and therefore, you shouldn't get any problems. Those who know they have allergies to any of those things, then they will need to cut out whatever cause them problems and probably just use the things that can help them, okay? But that is not to use for one person, all right? I've given you the ingredients, adjust it down to suit your particular family or for yourself. It has been customized for the respiratory system. This same tonic can be customized for different things like diabetes, blood pressure, and so on. There are different herbs that you would use in conjunction with the main ingredients at the top, all right, for those things. And things like the camphor and eucalyptus oil and so on, if you're doing it for yourself, you're going to only be using drops in it. You're not going to be using no teaspoonful because you're not making that much, all right? Yes. It was used in the recipe. We made the recipe at class, and everybody tasted the recipe. I made it at home, and I drink it. Vonda, did you use it? And it helps you? Yeah. Yes. Pardon?
Excuse
No. It didn't burn my stomach. Yes, Cherish.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You use it for babies too?
No, we won't want to use that for babies, darling. Right. Well, I guess nursing mothers and those sort of things would be, you won't want to advise it except on the doctor's direction. Yes?
Yeah, I would like to know what is vegetable glycerin and where can you get it?
Well, you can get the vegetable glycerin from the health food shop. But it's just, one of the ingredients used in it. I didn't investigate that, but I can. But you can get it from the health food shop. All right? Good. Okay, Sister Vonda is coming now to do her quiz. Yes, Cherish, Sister Cherish.
How many times a day should you take it? I think you mentioned
3
that.
times a day.
And in what portion? Like a teaspoon? A
1
tablespoon?
tablespoon 3 times a day.
Okay, no problem.
It's a small amount. You're not using too much. Okay, thank you. And Sister Vonda will come and speak with us now.